when I first met this man, I walked on eggshells a little bit. And as I got to know him, I realized that one of the reasons why it felt psychologically unsafe is because he has high standards.
So when your needs are neglected, essentially you are recognizing that slowly over time this relationship tells you that your needs don't matter. That's the sentiment that you get, or you self-induce.
Conscious couples, business partners, and individuals, welcome to the Conscious Couples podcast, where we share our life, love story, and relationship expertise to help you consistently cultivate the most magnificent relationship possible.
Never again will you feel hopeless and alone in your intimate relationship challenges. We'll help you have the courage to be your authentic self, communicate effectively, and constructively resolve conflict.
Having accumulated thousands of hours coaching, speaking, podcasting, and hosting live events with conscious couples all over the world, Alan and I are here to guide you in all things relationships.
Thank you again for tuning into the one place where it's not about you or me, it's about the we. Conscious couples and individuals, welcome back to another very special episode of the Conscious Couples podcast. Today we have episode 194. I don't know why I'm yelling. We have episode 194. We're in a good mood. Do you actually have a safe relationship? Before we jump into this episode, I want to give a huge shout out and thank you to Next Level Podcast Solutions for producing this podcast and 70 plus others. If you have a podcast or want to start a podcast, please reach out. My email is alan@nextleveluniverse.com. We have a 19-person team. We are really good at what we do. Okay.
Facts.
Sweetheart, thank you, babe. Ladies first.
Thank you so much.
Episode?
So, my intention for today's episode, for us all,
yes,
to figure out through what we're going to talk about, whether or not, and to what degree, we have actually a safe relationship.
Nice. Okay, Emilia has an evolved group coaching program.
Yes, I do.
And you've done how many of said groups?
8 million. I'm kidding.
No,
I'm kidding.
seriously.
So we're on group number 3.
Okay, nice.
8 million.
Yeah, between 8 million and 3.
No, but what matters is what we spoke about.
Yeah.
And we had recently in group coaching a very deep topic that we had and everyone talked about, which was about, and so just for anyone who's not familiar with the program, it's a program that is broken down into 9 different modules, if you will, and happens on a bi-weekly cadence. And this is a great opportunity for someone who maybe is on the growth journey and wants to understand themselves at a deeper level, that can get around other people that are on the growth journey too. That's the biggest thing that group coaching we found at Evolve has been the most helpful because the growth journey can be lonely. And so what we spoke about was safety and safe relating. And that's where this episode genesis was.
So take it from me. I have witnessed all 3 years. You do this once per year. 10 people at a time?
Yeah.
So get in. The link is in the show notes. I don't know if you have the next one that you're filling spots or not, but there's only 10 spots and this only happens once a year. So check it out. You have a landing page you're going to put.
We have the wait list. Yep. We'll put that in.
Awesome. You get on the wait list ASAP. Rocky. It's very affordable. The focus is mental health and personal growth, right? Safe space.
Trauma-informed safe space.
Trauma-informed safe space. Bianca is a cognitive behavioral therapist. You are trauma certified.
Yep.
So particularly I'm talking to the men out there who want to dip their toes into mental health. Group coaching.
We actually have more men in this one than we have in the past, which is awesome.
Nice.
Yeah. So anyways, why I bring that up is
what
because...
What module was this?
So this was module number 6 out of 9. So
and what was the name of the module?
It was safe relating, and I believe it's part 1 of 2. So next Thursday we have the second part of it, and what we focused in was 3 components of the relationships themselves, our bodies, and what signals we ignore, and then like what actually is intuition.
Okay, so I have on my Remarkable over here the top 3 indicators of being in an unsafe relationship and the top 3 indicators of being in a safe relationship.
Yeah.
From group coaching. So the first one, we're going to start with unsafe first. And Emilia's thesis, I would like to hear your version of it, but your thesis, from my understanding of this episode, is most people override their intuition when it comes to whether or not they are or are not in a safe relationship. I was in a relationship once that I thought it sucked. It was not good. And I was totally overriding my intuition. My intuition was saying, this is not right. This is not for you. Fucking leave. I'm being playful, but seriously, who here has ever stayed in a relationship way too long?
We call it overcooking the turkey.
Yes. And in hindsight, it's obvious that we were not right for each other. And I know there might be some people out there that's the case, conscious couples, conscious singles. So let's not override our intuition. Now, we also are not saying to just jump ship right away.
Definitely not.
So
yeah. So what I thought was actually really interesting, and I shared this with you. Well, some of this I shared with you. Some of it is fresh off the press. But we opened that group coaching session with what is your definition of safety?
Nice.
And really just held some space for group coaching members to just type in the chat. And what I found was fascinating is that we often don't have that readily available to go to. And I think that for anyone that's listening to this episode...
For me, it's when I wear my life jacket.
For me, it's my floaties.
Yeah, nice. High five. Yeah, I knew you
So,
did. What
didn't miss
came
a
through
beat.
the chat?
So I don't recall that. That's recall right there for you. But a lot of what I did find from recall, if I can pull up those files, is... vulnerability was something that came through that I remember as a heavy hitter. Respect was another one that came through. And trust, that was another one.
Yep.
And for me, I had shared as an example, like for me, safety, like the best way that I could put safety in a definition, in a nutshell, in relationships. And we weren't just talking about intimate relationships. We were talking about like all relationships.
But on the Conscious Couples,
we are
talking about your intimate relationship.
Absolutely. And so important. For me, what I shared was like, in a nutshell, safety is calm. Safety is my central nervous system, feels calm and doesn't feel in a level of distress that there's something here that I need to go do or be anything other than my authentic self. That is safety. Mm-hmm. And so as we were going through the program, like I said, the last leg of that session was on intuition. And what we walked away with that event and that I shared with you was that everyone said, Emilia, we are well aware of who was not safe for us and what relationships we either got into or connected with at work or friendships, etc., that weren't safe for us once we took them through their definition and kind of did what we're going to do in this episode. The biggest challenge for us was not overriding that, because more often than not, we override that signal of intuition, which in a split second can sure up whether or not someone's safe with us, for us, to us, or not. And so that will be part 2 of this one. So anyways, what I want to make sure that conscious couples have from that is, what does an unsafe relationship look, feel, and sound like?
Yeah.
And that will be grounded in the 3 principles that we talk about. So that, like I said, per my intention, we can all scroll away from this episode reminding ourselves, what does safety feel for us? Because I said safety is subjective to all of us based on our experiences. And yet, when we think about the patterns of safety in intimate relationships, there's commonalities. So we can walk away, we can scroll away, really knowing if we actually have a safe relationship or not.
So we're talking about physical safety, psychological safety, emotional safety. We have 9 minutes, 37 seconds on the clock. And I have one question for you before we get into this, and we'll go quick.
I have one question for you after that.
Well, I don't know if we're going to have time. There's someone I'm thinking of who I respect deeply, who, this is not an intimate relationship, but when I first met this man, I walked on eggshells a little bit. Mm-hmm. And as I got to know him, I realized that one of the reasons why it felt psychologically unsafe is because he has high standards. And I also am thinking of someone else who grew up with parents who had no standards at all, but felt psychologically safe at all times. can you unpack for the listeners what it's like? Because I've been told I'm intimidating. Some of my team feels psychologically safe with me, but also knows that they need to be on point. So how do you balance having high standards with creating psychological safety?
That's such a good question. And I do believe this is why Brene Brown's work has reached so many people the way in which it has, and specifically about high standards. I'm also going to overlap that with leadership, because one of the key things that Brene's work goes to is how important vulnerability is for someone who has high standards. And why is that? Well, it essentially disarms the threat system that is in our unconscious. And so if you're someone who has high standards, or whoever this person is, they have high standards, and they're going around the world triggering other people because of that high standard.
And this person is not outwardly vulnerable. And
which double dips onto what I'm saying.
Yeah, and if he was, it would definitely help.
Right, but that person likely has an inverse correlation with vulnerability. So that person will probably never get vulnerable, because in their safety system, vulnerability actually was harmful to them.
Yeah.
And so they'll likely go around in their entire life being a person with high standards, but not leveraging the tool of vulnerability as a way to disarm what's called the threat detectors. And there's a very unique what's called a safety cue mismatch, which is essentially when you have traumatic experiences or non-traumatic, and they're just they shake you up a lot in intimate relationships or relationships in general. You have a cue, so like high standard would be a cue. That is a safety cue mismatch, meaning your high standards back in my memory, in my whole body memory, the last person that I met that had high standards was a jerk. And that person treated me horribly, and therefore I don't feel safe. That brain-body connection,
and all of that's
remembers
unconscious.
All that's unconscious.
Yeah, and it happens quick.
Exactly. So you'll have someone like that actually pair usually in intimate relationships with someone who's wicked vulnerable but has low standards. And so those two individuals that you have in mind, how do they navigate that? They need to understand safety, what their safety detection system is. That's why I started in group coaching, and I'll start with anyone that's listening to this. What is your definition of safety? Because in that helps you understand what is your perceived starting point of what safety means. And then from there we build. Okay, based on that definition, where did that come from? It's all your set of experiences. Because what was safe for you growing up was what was normal. And that's more often than not what our definition of safety comes from.
But I also have a client who what she feels safe in is actually toxic. And that's a whole nother rabbit hole we'll have to do an episode on another time, right?
Exactly.
Because how do you discern between what is comfortable, even though it was toxic growing up? Because that's just what's common, or what you know, the water you were swimming in.
What's normal.
Versus what actually is safe. Because I know someone who feels unsafe with safe because of their conditioning. That's a whole
I
other
did too. You and I talked about that.
Yep.
I felt unsafe with you crying when you and I first met.
I cried?
Yeah. It was wild. I had never seen a man cry before. And that was we're joking, but like to give a little context.
That was a weird interaction of joking right there. All right, real quick, I'll give context.
Bonnie here. I just wanted to share my experience with group coaching and some of the things that I got out of it. So going into group coaching, I was not tracking any habits at all. And I had sort of jumped on board habit tracking here and there, knowing it was a good idea, but not sort of ever succeeding with it. And so now some of them have become habits. I'm happy to say I wake up, I have a glass of water without even thinking about it anymore. So now I think it's probably time to gear up and like increase my water intake or change the water one a little bit, something like that. And so I highly encourage people to jump into group coaching. There's so much information that you will get out of it. I recommend bringing a notebook to all of the sessions and taking lots of notes, asking lots of questions, and rewatching the videos, because it is the video coaching part is just packed with information. I also really recommend that you check in with your accountability buddy and sort of lift each other up throughout the experience, because there's lots of momentum, it's really exciting, and then it gets hard. And so stick with it and carry on, and your life will be better for it. Okay, take care.
So Emilia and I early in our relationship, she made me breakfast and she burnt the toast. I'm kidding. You know, I'm joking.
I took away his floaty.
Yeah, you took away my life jacket. No. We do not have time for this.
Yeah.
But seriously, I don't remember the context of what I was crying about, but essentially
vulnerable.
I cried.
Beautiful.
And you did not explain to me at the time how triggering that was for you.
Yeah.
Because I thought, this is great. This is vulnerability. This is a healthy man.
And you were right.
Yeah, thank you.
I was in the wrong. That was a safety cue mismatch for me.
Okay, so let's
Anyways.
explain. Hold on. So, sorry. What was the safety cue mismatch? So, growing up, man crying equals unsafe.
Yeah.
But that's not true.
It was more so like, at least for me in my experiences, it was if man cries, then what happens after cry is what makes me unsafe. So if a man ever cried, it was usually in them trying to cover up their crying and their vulnerability because and then they would get like boisterous and just wreak havoc on something or just be absolutely rude and jerks and whatever. And that meant unsafety for me.
Yeah.
It wasn't necessarily the crying itself, but it was the cue that anticipated the behavior.
Isn't there also some truth to a man that cries might be weak and therefore cannot protect me?
Yeah,
I'm
but
not
that's
saying it's true, I'm just saying.
so old and not accurate and
Primitive?
not true. Yeah, it's ridiculously primitive.
Okay.
Because crying is quite literally a healthy adaptive response to an unpleasant emotion, which
You can't cry in everything, but a good cry is important to
very
heal.
important.
We are pro crying. Authentic,
yeah.
sincere tears are very important.
So
Okay,
important.
and that's how you heal.
Absolutely.
One of the ways.
One of the ways.
All right, we got a crank here. So we got top 3 unsafe, top 3 safe. So I'm going to read through them. Emilia is going to give an example of each, and then we're going to get out of here. Okay, so top 3 unsafe. Number 1 is needs are neglected.
Okay, so think about.
Give me an example of someone who might be in a situation where their needs are being neglected, but they don't know it.
What is coming to mind is a client of mine that I have, and she has the need to be supported in her relationship. Very baseline, take care of the household. They both have children together. Just a need to be respected in the fact that the household is going to be divvied up into both partners taking the share of responsibilities.
Okay.
That's a basic need. We all have the need to be respected, okay, and supported. That need, her partner completely steamrolls and neglects that need. So when he gets home from work, does not do any of the household labor. And when she confronts him about that, still does not do any of the supporting behaviors that help her to meet the needs.
So when she confronts him, he gets angry.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely one of the responses, and he gets defensive and then blames her for actually having needs, which is what the example is in an unsafe relationship.
Which has this person walking on eggshells, right?
Yeah, so when your needs are neglected, essentially you are recognizing that slowly over time this relationship tells you that your needs don't matter. That's the sentiment that you get. Or you self-induce.
Okay, number 2, hopes are suppressed.
Yeah, so let's say, this client, she has a hope that one day she'll come home from work, the house is actually clean, the baby will be taken care of. He'll just say, babe, just relax. And
Candlelight
she can
dinner, date night.
Everything. That's a hope and a desire that she has. Now, she's literally expressed to me, I'm terrified of what he might say if I share that with him. Because then the whole wrath will come in, which is where when you feel as though you cannot express your hopes, your aspirations, your dreams.
What is she afraid he'll do if she expresses that?
She's afraid that he's going to blame her, or she's afraid that he's going to blow up and get really upset with her of how much she doesn't see how much he works for the family and how difficult his job is and how hard it is for him to do, blah, blah, blah.
Or call her a princess or something.
No, she's more fearful of his outlash and defensive-ness of how incompetent he is.
Okay. Number 3 is inhumane relating.
Yeah, so I use the word inhumane very intentionally here because when you are in relationship, we have an unconscious need to belong. And so in an unsafe relationship, there are tendencies to make sure that not only is the relationship having to walk on eggshells, your needs are neglected, your hopes are suppressed. But on top of that, when there is a rupture in the relationship, so let's say, for example, the same client, they get in a fight, she actually does express it. And then all of a sudden she expresses her hopes, they get in a fight. And then all of a sudden, what his response is to leave the house, which he has done before, and not come back for the entire night. No messages, no nothing. She's freaking out at home, and she's like literally just needing to know that he's okay.
And there's no apology.
There's no apology. There's no repair. That's inhumane relating because the biological need of human beings and safety in relationships need
it's almost
quick
like a
repair.
Punishment
Yes.
type of behavior. Okay.
Yep.
Because we don't have time, love, we got to crank through these next 3, okay?
Okay.
All right, awesome. So the top 3 safe. So top 3 unsafe, needs are neglected, your hopes are suppressed, you feel fearful of sharing your hopes and dreams, and you feel like you're being punished or shamed or guilted, mostly shame and punished. That's the unsafe. And by the way, if you close your eyes and think of the most unsafe relationship you've ever been in, it will come up. And if you close your eyes and think of the safest relationship you've ever been in, that will come up too. And again, unless you have a safety cue mismatch there, that's the only time where that gets wonky. All right, so before we go here, we're going to share these.
And you can always just, I was pulling that back up, like on each one of these 3 components, you can do a spectrum if you want, or green, yellow, and red, which is something that we want. So green, yellow, red, how well are your needs honored? Red is neglected. Green is what we're going to talk about.
Yep. Green, yellow, red on each of these. We're going to put something in the show notes for each of these.
Sure.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
All right, top 3 for safe. Number 1, your needs are acknowledged. It's the opposite of unsafe. Number 2, agreements, not hopes. What does that mean?
So you no longer have hopes in this relationship because hopes are essentially a desire without any action. And in an unsafe relationship, you are suppressing all that. Instead, in a safe relationship, you have agreements because you're able to speak what your hopes, dreams, and needs are. Your partner is able to hear that, wants to hear that, and will make sure that they hear that. And then they make an agreement of action of how either they can meet those needs or how they can support you to meet those needs.
Yep. So for example,
or desires, hopes, etc.
I take care of the kitty litter every other week. That is an agreement that we have. That was a hope that you once had that I would do that. Awesome. Just a small example.
Basic support. Yep.
Last but not least, repair over perfection.
Same thing. You're not being punished when the conflict happens in a relationship, right? Like this is the complete opposite. You run fast to repair. So when there's a fight, when there's a disagreement, when things don't get actually honored in the way in which you two talked about, one person gets let down, hurt, etc. You go and run to the repair because the quickest time between rupture and repair is what allows a safe relationship to have reassurance unconsciously over needing things to be perfect, needing a level of rigidity in the relationship, needing, punishment to happen.
So the example I give for this is one time I sort of joined with Emilia's brother to throw a stinger at her, sort of poke fun at her early in our relationship, and I immediately owned it. Came to you, made sure I said that's not going to happen again. Not only do I know that I noticed it, but I also am sorry. And then I haven't done that since. That's just a tiny example. You don't throw stingers, and if you do on accident, you've got to acknowledge it, own it, say sorry, and then repair the rupture.
Yeah. All right, so if it's in the relationship, if you or I had let each other down, we own it. Ownership is huge. Yep. And then we repair it. What can I do to make you not feel better, but what can I do to make up? Because I realize I let you down.
Yeah, and the important piece here is that gives you hope for the future. Because you
plus
now know.
Action.
Yeah, plus action.
Yeah.
Because you now know that you can get through things that are hard, which is what's inevitably going to happen. It gives you certainty about the future.
Yeah.
All right, we got to jump here. Cool. We appreciate you guys. We're going to put all of this in the show notes. We have relationship talks coaching, both hybrid model, man to man, woman to woman, whatever. We also have couple to couple. Reach out to Emilia or myself. The first one is free. And we also have a relationship talks virtual event coming up.
The communication essentials for relationships and the relationships that need them the most. And if you want to thrive, this is the relationship talks for you because these are the essentials that are required and necessary to thrive. So join us. The link to register is in the show notes.
Your love will not flourish by default. It will flourish by design. We appreciate you. Welcome to Love Train. As always, it's not about you or me. It's about the we. We'll talk to you next time.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks for joining us for another episode of the Conscious Couples podcast. We love connecting with the Conscious Couples community, so please check the show notes to connect with us and say hello on social media.
If you and your partner resonated with this episode, please leave us a 5-star review at the link in the show notes and share this with someone you love. Until next time, it's not about you or me, it's about the we. We'll talk to you next time.